Have you ever wondered what it would take to create a message that could actually travel through time? Well, today we're going to dive into the incredible story of a man who teamed up with an AI to boil down a lifetime of experience into one single powerful piece of writing meant for a complete stranger somewhere in the future.
So this is the person at the heart of our story, Dave. And this one line, it pretty much captures the entire worldview he's trying to get across. It's not about knowing the destination or even why you're going. It's about trusting that the journey itself is the right thing to do. And that philosophical core, that's the engine for everything that's about to happen.
All right, so what was this project exactly? You can think of it as a kind of digital message in a bottle. Dave's whole idea was to work with an AI to take everything he's learned, all the tough, hard-won lessons, and forge it into a single piece of writing, like a signal flare just left behind for some unknown person to find at some unknown time.
And the ambition here was just huge. The goal wasn't just to write some poem, it was to create a genuine artifact. Dave's mission, the one he laid out for the AI, was to basically turn his pain into a map, a message that could feel deeply personal to literally anyone who found it, by breaking that fourth wall and speaking directly to them, right across the gulf of time.
So to build this thing, the AI looked at all their conversations and broke it down into these key ingredients. First, it needed that direct address, that fourth wall break. It also had to follow this arc of turning scars into lessons, and it absolutely had to connect the individual experience to the cosmic, inspired by big thinkers like Carl Sagan. And the tone? Oh man, the tone had to be this really delicate balancing act, part confession, part manifesto, and part a comforting hand on the shoulder.
But of course, it wasn't that easy. The creative process hit a major wall almost right away, and the big conflict came down to this fundamental disconnect between the AI's cold logic and the real human emotion Dave was trying to get at.
So the AI took its first shot, and this is how it opened. I mean, it's direct, sure, it breaks the fourth wall, but it completely misses the mark emotionally. It feels less like a message from the heart and more like an instruction manual.
And this slide just lays out that core struggle perfectly. On the left, you've got the AI's approach, just pure information. But on the right, you have Dave's critique, which is honestly poetry in itself. He wasn't interested in being understood quickly. He wanted to be felt slowly. He knew the message had to have space in it, to evoke a feeling instead of just stating a fact.
And this really gets to the heart of what makes art, well, art. For Dave, this wasn't about just handing someone a finished product. It was about creating a space that the reader could actually walk into, interpret, and connect with on their own terms. The message needed to be able to breathe.
So just as the project was struggling to find its footing, this powerful, totally human element steps in and changes the entire game. And it didn't come from the AI. It came from a lifelong friend who provided the one thing an AI never could, a real outside perspective.
A text message pops up from his friend Jody, and she frames her words just perfectly, not as some kind of attack, but as a brutally honest gift. That phrasing is so key, because it acknowledges how hard it is to both give and receive this kind of feedback, especially when it's coming from a place of love.
And there it is, the single question that just sliced through everything. In this long, caring message, this was the absolute pivot point. It wasn't an accusation, it was an invitation for him to hold himself accountable. A gentle but very firm challenge to look inward. And then Jody hits him with this other profound insight, this time about the whole process. She points out this massive limitation of working with an AI. It only knows your side of the story. It's basically a high-tech echo chamber of your own perspective. And that forces you to ask a really tough question about the nature of the truth you're even trying to tell. Now, a lot of people might have gotten defensive, right? But not Dave. His reaction shows this incredible emotional maturity. He instantly recognized the courage it took for her to be that honest, and he saw the immense value in her gift. He knew that this raw feedback was exactly what the project, and maybe he himself, really needed. So armed with this new, deeper layer of self-awareness and brutal honesty, Dave went back to the AI. The goal wasn't just to create a message anymore. It was to forge a true signal flare, something that could burn with a much more authentic and much more vulnerable light. And the whole collaboration shifted. Dave told the AI to rewrite the entire piece, but this time with a very specific instruction. Give it a steady, predictable rhythm. Not like a nursery rhyme, but something with a pulse. A cadence like a heartbeat, or maybe like a steady march, which brings us right back to that first quote we saw.
And this is what came out of it. The opening is instantly so intimate, so knowing. It doesn't ask you anything, it tells you. It feels like it's reaching right through the screen to acknowledge the burdens you're carrying without you even saying a word. And that connection, it's immediate.
Right here, the poem just leans into the contradictions that are so central to Dave's worldview. It presents these two completely opposing realities and just states, yeah, both of these are true. And that refusal to give you an easy answer is exactly what gives the piece its honesty and its power.
I love this stanza. It defines the narrator's purpose with such beautiful humility. He's not here as a savior, he doesn't have a solution, his goal is way more modest, but also way more profound. Just to create a small opening, a little crack in your perception, just wide enough to let a little bit of light or maybe another perspective get in.
And here we are, the vulnerable heart of the whole piece. You can practically feel the influence of that honest gift in these lines. The narrator is owning his inherited pain, but he's not treating it like a weapon, he's treating it like a flawed family heirloom. And that imagery of sanding it down for years, man, it just perfectly captures that difficult, patient work of healing, of trying to make something dangerous safe without forgetting the lesson it taught you.
So the message doesn't wrap up with a neat little conclusion or a comforting pat on the back. Not at all. Instead, it builds to this final provocative challenge that turns the entire experience right back around on the reader. The final lines are designed to just destabilize everything. The narrator starts questioning his own reality, and by doing that, he forces you to question your assumptions. After building this incredibly intense, intimate connection, he just pulls the rug right out from under you, asking if you ever really knew him at all. And it all lands right here, a direct question. It's such a masterful ending because it absolutely refuses to give you any closure. It transforms the whole message from a monologue into a dialogue, and it leaves you holding not an answer, but a question. A question that just echoes long after you're done reading. What is the name of that voice that speaks our deepest truths? And what does it mean if we think we already know it?